In a world where a boy turns powerful monsters into attractive women and uses them to fight. However, it all starts with a lad named Makoto resided an ordinary existence as a high schooler when abruptly summoned before a deity, who introduces himself as Tsukayami, the ruler of the domain of night, elucidating his purpose in summoning Makoto to transform him into a champion and entrust him to a goddess from another realm. Tsukayami discloses that Makoto's parents are also being summoned from an alternate realm, and as per their agreement, they have consented to relinquishing whatever holds utmost importance to them at some point in time. Observing Makoto, the goddess begins ridiculing his appearance, pondering how he could possibly be the progeny of such promising progenitors. While deriding Makoto, she refuses to bestow upon him any significant abilities, instead conferring upon him solely the power to comprehend all non-human languages, enabling him to understand the creatures residing in the distant reaches of the world where she has chosen to place him. Prior to sending him off, she commands him not to propagate his unattractive genetic traits among the inhabitants of this realm. While descending into the world, Tsukayami extends his hand once more, granting Makoto his blessing to roam freely within this new realm. After wandering for 3 days, he encounters a distressed orc lady and resolves to assist her. She is under attack by a colossal wolf with 2 heads. Through engaging in combat, Makoto comes to realize the true extent of his strength in this realm. The orc lady Emma discloses her name to him and reveals her destined role as a sacrifice to Shin atop the divine mountain. Evidently, a dense fog has engulfed her village, leading to crop failures. The sacrifice's suffering caused the fog to dissipate, and now it's Emma's turn. She guides Makoto to a resting spot where he becomes the subject of discussion among the other orcs. Noticing Emma's use of magic, he persuades her to teach him as well. His proficiency in magic astounds Emma, who wonders about his exceptionally high level of skill. She assumes he must be at a level in the 200s or 300s, so when she learns that he is actually at level 1, she is left shocked. The following day, Makoto leaves a note for Emma, expressing gratitude for teaching him powerful magic and informing her that he is taking the gear she provided, proceeding ahead to confront Shin. Upon reaching a summit on the mountain, Makoto decides to test his magical control by creating a blazing bow and using it for target practice on a Toriad gate. The resulting massive explosion eliminates some wicked monsters lurking nearby, and as they perish, their leader reveals that they were merely exploiting Shin's name to subjugate the orcs. However, with the gate now destroyed, Shin is bound to be furious and appear to unleash his wrath. Just as the monster predicted, a colossal dragon emerges and attacks Makoto. To the dragon's surprise, Makoto effectively fights back. Not only that, but Makoto manages to wound the dragon with his fire bow, despite the dragon's supposed resistance to fire. As a final attempt, the dragon ensnares Makoto in a delightful illusion. Thanks to the bestowed power from Tsukayami, Makoto discerns that he is trapped within an illusion and effortlessly breaks free. However, the dragon loses interest in fighting upon witnessing Makoto's memories, realizing that he hails from another world. In order to gain further insights about that other world, the dragon, known as Shin, proposes a pact with Makoto, becoming his companion. Shin, a formidable and supposedly invincible greater dragon, reluctantly becomes Makoto's subordinate in order to level the playing field. Nevertheless, Shin is content with this arrangement, believing it to be the most fulfilling period of her existence. Once the pact is established, Shin assumes a humanoid form, unveiling her true identity as a girl. Shin elucidates that she assumes the form of the dominant individual in a pact, hence her current human appearance. Deeply captivated by the samurai dramas she witnessed in Makoto's memories, Shin aspires to conduct herself like a samurai. Shin demonstrates one of her powers, a controlled demi-plane, revealing that the area within has transformed and expanded into a vast fertile land due to their pact. Contemplating the possibility, Makoto wonders if they could establish a concealed town within the demi-plane, safeguarded from the malevolent goddess. Upon exiting the demi-plane, they encounter Emma, who is left speechless after learning that Makoto triumphed over Shin and formed a pact with her. Returning to Emma's orc village, Shin unveils the truth to their chief about the events transpiring on the mountain, extending an offer for the orcs to relocate from the desolate wasteland to her demi-plane. Gratefully accepting the offer, the orcs agree, and the next day, Shin creates a clone resembling her child to ensure their safety within the demi-plane should any mishaps occur. Makoto expresses frustration towards Shin for making these arrangements without consulting him first, but ultimately acquiesces. The orcs gradually construct their new village within the demi-plane, while Makoto expands his repertoire of magic by learning different types. Shin takes advantage of this situation, simultaneously teaching Makoto magic and delving into his thoughts to access more of his memories. Makoto harbors concerns about the possibility of Shin uncovering secret thoughts and inappropriate memories, but he allows her to proceed as she wishes. As Makoto explores the extent of the powers bestowed upon him by Tsukayami, Shin brings a frightened dwarf into the demi-plane. Apparently, the dwarf was being pursued by a tremendously powerful creature known as the Black Spider of Disaster, and Shin has lured the monster into the demi-plane. The monster, a colossal spider driven to madness by hunger, senses Makoto's blood and becomes determined to devour him. Shin reveals that she once attempted to reason with the monster, but its insatiable hunger led to a violent confrontation. After inflicting some damage, the spider fled. Considering this, Makoto engages in battle with the spider, utilizing his newly acquired techniques. However, the spider's regenerative abilities make it impossible for Makoto to kill it. Eventually, the spider manages to bite Makoto, sending him into a frenzy. Unleashing all his magical power, Makoto obliterates the spider, but even that proves insufficient. Exhausted and unconscious from his intense efforts, Makoto collapses to the ground, and the spider regenerates once more. Rather than devouring Makoto, it turns out that the spider has developed an affinity for him due to his delectable blood and the pain he inflicts upon it. Shin intervenes, separating Makoto from the spider, realizing that Makoto's blood has sated the spider's hunger and restored its ability to reason. She reminds the spider of her identity and explains the pact she formed with Makoto. Shin suggests that the spider should also enter into a pact with Makoto, as he possesses enough power to command them both. Without Makoto's knowledge or consent, Shin forms a pact between him and the spider, causing the spider to transform into a stunning humanoid lady. Upon awakening, Makoto is astonished to discover that he has gained yet another beautiful servant. Expressing gratitude for Shin's benevolence, the rescued dwarf inquires whether his people can also depart the wasteland and settle within the demi-plane. Makoto promptly welcomes them, while Shin establishes the guidelines they must adhere to. Every day, Makoto ventures through the wasteland for a few hours, seeking out human settlements. Once he finally discovers one, he is summoned back to the demi-plane, where Shin requests that he bestow new names upon her and the Black Spider. After careful consideration, he christens Shin as Tamo and names the Black Spider Mio. The act of naming enhances their already formidable powers. News of the demi-plane spreads, attracting a diverse array of monsters seeking to settle there. In addition to orcs and dwarves, there are Tamo's followers, the Mist Lizards, and Mio's followers, the Elk. The elder of the dwarves rejoices upon learning that Makoto does not align with the goddess's desires, as her intentions clash with their own. Finally granted the opportunity to visit the human village, Makoto experiences the harsh reality that the ability bestowed upon him by the goddess is akin to a curse, rendering him incapable of understanding humans. Mistaking him for a monster, the humans provoke his retreat to the demi-plane, unwilling to engage in conflict. There, he discovers that Emma, Tamo, and Mio are proficient in the human language, prompting him to study under their guidance. They inform him that the immense amount of mana he emits is likely deeply unsettling to humans. As a solution, he commissions the dwarves to forge a ring capable of suppressing his mana. After some trial and error, the ring is completed, although his mastery of the human language remains a challenge. While he can understand, read, and write, his pronunciation is lacking. To compensate for this, he opts to communicate by means of written magical letters. Thus, disguised as traveling merchants, Makoto, Mio, and Tamo venture into the human village. Upon visiting the Adventurers Guild, they decide to register as adventurers, presenting Makoto as a cursed scion of a prosperous merchant, accompanied by his loyal servants, the two girls. Due to the curse's affliction, Makoto is rendered unable to speak and must rely on magical writing for communication. As part of the registration process, their power levels are assessed. The guild members are astounded to discover that Tamo is at level X, while Mio is at level Y, making them the most formidable adventurers in the entire guild. Makoto, however, feels disheartened as his level remains unchanged since the last measurement. Once they receive their adventure cards, they secure accommodations for the night. Leaving Tamo to guard their belongings, Makoto and Mio venture into the town to procure food. During their stroll, they are intercepted by a young girl. While Tamo remains behind to safeguard their goods, she confronts a group of robbers effortlessly. subduing them. Taking one of the captured robbers with her, she brings them back to their own room for interrogation. The distressed young girl who halted Makoto and Tamo reveals her name to be Rainan. She explains that her older sister, Toa, went missing after being unable to repay a debt. When Rainan shows them a sketch of her sister, it becomes evident that the robbers are connected to Toa's disappearance, as Tamo recognized the girl from the robbers' memories. Makoto entrusts Tamo and Mio with the task of rescuing Toa, while he remains with Rainan, recognizing the striking resemblance between Toa and a girl named Hasegawa from his world, whom he held dear. He fears that his anger would be uncontrollable if he were to confront the situation directly. After successfully rescuing Toa, Tamo and Mio find themselves confronted by Ace, the town's strongest adventurer, as they attempt to make their escape. Meanwhile, Makoto takes Rainan with him to sell his merchandise, earning a substantial amount of gold. Suddenly, Rainan hastily excuses herself and dashes off. Seeing through her feeble pretext, Makoto employs Tsukayami's power to keep a watchful eye on her. Through this observation, he discovers that she is meeting with the leader of the previous group of robbers, who are coercing her into gathering information about him. Learning that they are now forcing her to steal the gold he earned only further incenses Makoto. Ace, the criminal mastermind, aligns himself with the leader of the robbers. However, his mistake is deriding Makoto in the presence of Tamo and Mio, who become infuriated and unleash their wrath upon him, incapacitating Ace and defeating the accompanying robbers. As a result, they liberate other adventurers who were held captive. Struggling with her conflicted mission, Rainan finds it difficult to steal from the person who has shown her kindness. Makoto approaches her, providing solace and reassurance that everything will turn out fine. The confrontation against the robbers escalates into a competitive display of power between Tamo and Mio, inadvertently causing extensive destruction throughout the town as they showcase their devastating capabilities. Thanks for watching.